And we are live. Welcome back to Aussies taking over the NBA. It's Friday night, the week before Christmas, and we've got a part two, rather, of our Overreactions podcast coming up. I am Benjamin Black, Andrew, the man, Philly carving it up.
They're doing all right. Chunked it to the Washington Wizards, but yeah, whatever.
What are they sitting at the moment though?
Third, 18-7.
Yeah, 19-7. Good
19
start
and
for
7.
Philly, but the Bucks 22-3. I think they were 0-2 to start the season, and then it just rattled off all these wins like a bunch of mad units. But we're going to be talking Eastern Conference. Sorry, man.
No, I'm just going to say it's going to be interesting when they play the Lakers. I think that's going to be the game to watch.
There hasn't been many of those types of this is the game to watch. Like, it feels like a lot of both conferences are kind of evening themselves out a little bit, where any team can beat any team. There's no real we got to take this team down type of thing, where it's just kind of the Lakers and the Bucks.
Is it me? Is just the rivalry dead? It's kind of like everyone just turns up on a night like, yeah, let's play some basketball, and oh yeah, we lost. The rivalry, just the passion seems to just die. It's like die a miserable death. It's horrible. Some of these teams are horrible to watch. It's not even basketball. It's just garbage.
It's everyone's, it's the player empowerment era, where everyone's friend. If you sort of skunk a guy, he might be the guy that kicks you out of your team on the next team that you're trying to get to play with someone else. You know what I mean? So everyone's got to love each other, got to get along with each other. I think it's kind of taken the fire out of the league a little bit. Plus,
yeah, except Marcus Morris. Everyone hates Marcus Morris.
Yeah, plus LeBron going to the Lakers is kind of like that's just moved into a big market. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If the Cavs is not the biggest market there, so now LeBron's obviously gone over to the Lakers. It's like you've taken a big draw out of a small market team. It's just one less small market team that's kind of getting a little bit of a run,
a bit of a boost. I think it's also with just the Warriors just being complete and utter garbage.
Yeah, just horrible.
Just
can't even beat the Knicks. Like, that's people saying, like they're tanking, etc., etc. I'm like, no, they're just shit. Like, it's the
just shit.
It's the G League Warriors.
Yeah, it's D'Angelo Russell with absolutely zero defense and Draymond Green not being hidden well by, Marquise Chris and just
Amari Spellman. Pascal's been pretty good. Pascal. Smiley G got injured. He was their other draft pick. But yeah, I feel like there's no...
A lot of the bandwagons have just dropped off. Like, you'd get your LeBron Cleveland bandwagon. That seems to be really quiet. The Warriors bandwagon, they're just ripping those games out of national television. Philly is getting a lot more national coverage. I noticed a lot more of their games are on TNT. You've seen the Celtics, the Bucks, the Lakers, obviously. So seems like those markets seem to be pretty strong. I think Philly has sold out their stadium 100 games in a row. It's pretty good for a fairly small market. It's a fairly small market team. They're not a massive market team by any stretch of the means. But the East seems to be stronger, in my opinion, than the West.
Does it? And I think not necessarily stronger, but does it feel more watchable?
Feels more watchable. It feels more like rivalries. It feels more like there's passion to the game. I think the Heat, we can move on in a sec to where we see each team, but the Heat's been like the surprise package. Jimmy Butler playing with all these young guys, winning a bud ton of games. Charlotte not being as horrible as we thought. There's been a whole bunch of, I think, positives, but the West has just seemed like, the Jazz are doing their thing. Timberwolves are straddling 8 and 9 as they always will, even though they get any kind of decent point guard and they're a top 4 team, I think, personally. Houston, James Harden dropping 50 on a night with 33 free throws. Like, it just seems like it's the same story in the West. I think the Lakers are probably the only ones changing that narrative. Clippers taking some hilarious losses, and the Nuggets just being, I think their wave is coming down. I think the Joker was just eating too many bags of potato chips over the holidays, just not really conditioning himself well. And it seems like the East, the strong teams have a strong home court advantage. Whereas you go to the West and it's just like everyone wins on a night. There's no home court advantage, would you say? Boston obviously losing today was one of three undefeated teams at home. The only two left are Philly and Miami.
So the best home records: Philly 13-0, Miami 11-0. Any other who haven't lost at home? No other team has not lost at home. And then you got the Celtics 10-1, the Bucks 12-1. And then looking further down, you got like the Pacers 10-3, and then over the West you got 13-1 Clippers at home. And then that's kind of like a lot of these teams take 3, 4, 5 wins at home, 5 losses at home, and it's no one's building a fortress because every team can beat every team on any given night now. I feel like the league's starting to equalize a little bit, and I don't know. It makes it less. I don't know. Makes it less kind of like
I don't know
fireworks. Like
it makes it less fireworks. It makes it less. I think superstar, like, you know, you get your 3 at, you know, you just got this ridiculous team at Golden State with Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green. The big 4 is kind of gone. You know, I think Philly are trying to do something around. The Celtics are kind of put together a really good team, but not a big 4. The Bucks have kind of got a big 3, I would say, maybe a 2.5. Lakers 2, Clippers 3. But that big 4, just ridiculous behemoth is not there anymore. Although the Bucks are just playing extremely well on the back of the Greek freak, who, for my mind, probably looking like he's going to go back-to-back MVP at this stage.
I think he might even go triples or maybe even quads, man. He's just how far does he have to go? Like he obviously took a huge step up from the season before last season to that season. Then even in this off season gone, he's stepped up again. Like, I don't know, like, how far can he go, and is that level he's sustained going to be enough to just, he's going to keep winning MVPs because it's, you know, a good team around him, plus what he brings to that team as an athlete. You know, in transition, he's so dangerous, could score over anyone. Like, I think he's going to win him like the next 5 years. Spoiler alert, that could be my overreaction.
Could be your overreaction. Well, let's take it the overreactions now and go from top to bottom. I think that's probably the good way to
talk
bottom.
About. Start with the Bucks. Nice.
Start with the Bucks. So overreaction is, I still don't see this as a complete postseason team.
Yeah.
I think this is Giannis going nuts for 82 games. They're a really good regular season team. They're going to put the fear in a lot of regular season teams. But you saw the claws stop him. You've seen Embiid stop him. You've seen others stop him. And the postseason, like, a lot of their players just go completely missing in the postseason. So my overreaction is the Bucks get barreled out in the Eastern Conference semifinals. That's my overreaction. I think they go 65 wins plus, but get barreled out in the second round.
Second round's a bit more explosive than the conference finals. Like, they're kind of expected to make the conference finals, really, aren't they? Surely, you know, you're expecting this Bucks team to make the conference finals.
Yes.
So second or maybe even first round is pretty overreactive. I think it's pretty explosive. George Hill after Bledsoe is a worry at point guard. Wesley Matthews, you know, has done quite well from this season. They're kind of light on in the guards, really. Like, Chris Middleton's been pretty good, but he's kind of playing for 3. That's where you look at this roster and you go, you know, the two Lopez's, Giannis is probably as good to hold down 3 positions and, you know, hide a little bit of the 3 positions deficiency. But when you kind of get past Ilyasova, Lopez, you're looking at like DiVincenzo, Sterling Brown, Korver, DJ Wilson. It starts to get a bit like, oof, come playoffs time, we're not 100% sure how they're gonna really sort of play out this roster.
I think they go down to a very short rotation, you know, potentially, you know, 2 or 3 deep. They've probably got enough to go 3 deep. It's just injuries. I think beyond 3 deep, there's any injuries, then yeah. I mean, George Hill is not the best point guard. Everyone knows how I feel about him. trash. Pat Connaughton's not a bad player, but again, these players are kind of not night in, night out quality bench players. Mind you, I haven't actually seen a bench in the East that has quality night in, night out players. I think the West has definitely got that down to a pat with the Clippers and the Lakers, man. They just run so deep, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, if you look at the Lakers, I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and I was sort of saying, oh, how many championship players does the Lakers have? Like, that have won championships, and it's, LeBron, Danny Green's won a championship, JaVale, Quinn Cook's won a championship. Like, these guys, they've got heaps of dudes that are role players that have won championships, whereas I don't think many other teams really have that kind of championship pedigree. You look at this Bucks team, no one on their team, I don't think, has won a championship.
No.
But yeah, I don't know what can the Bucks, maybe Giannis is going to win the next 4 MVPs. That's my overreaction.
We'll have to come back to that in 3 years.
Yeah, we'll come back to episode 111 for that one. But the Bucks, man, are just plowing along again. They're on a crazy run.
Tear City
10-0. Yeah. Who we got next? Miami.
This is the big one. I think the most. Can we overreact yet? Can they maintain a top 4 position throughout the season? They've got some good young players, man. Some like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson.
How good is Hero, man?
Kendrick Nunn. Crazy. Yeah. Kendrick Nunn. Like Bam Adebayo is playing like he had a triple-double the other night. They're just playing lights in, lights out. I mean, they got absolutely trounced by Philly.
Yeah.
But in saying that, my overreaction is, can they get home court final?
Finals is in the finals or Eastern Conference final?
Eastern Conference. Can they get a home court?
That's good.
Final.
I like it. I think just making the conference finals is a bit of an overreaction. Butler, don't know if I really trust him. They've got a lot of kind of youngish.
Yeah, they've got some youngish players that are playing really well, but they've got Goran Dragic,
but they've got
Kelly Olynyk.
They've got guys that aren't really on the cusp of anything great. Like they're not. They've got a lot of guys where you're not like, who's going to be like the next star in the NBA. They've got a lot of dudes that are just like solid role player. This guy's a good player. You know what I mean? Like they don't really. And then you got Jimmy Butler where, Jimmy's not superstar pedigree. We've seen that already in multiple teams. Does he have the ability to take this team to a finals? Like, even in that Philly team, that was a really, really good team, regardless of Jimmy Butler kind of, being an odd fit for that team, but they didn't really make the finals. So it would be interesting to see. Yeah, I think the East Conference Finals is an overreaction for me.
Yep.
But man, Tyler Hero. Yeah, is that his Hero? Watching those highlights of Summer League, man, it was one of those guys where you just go, oh, wow, this guy's going to be awesome. And then he comes in the league and he's just shit. And you're like, yeah, like he looked good in Summer League highlights, but man, he's just been fantastic for them. Like, looks like he's been there 5 years.
Looks like he's been there 5 years. He shoots like he's been in the league 10 years, man. He just lets them rip. Duncan Robinson's been playing real, and Kendrick Nunn. I mean, he was a G League Warrior last year. They didn't sign him. Could have definitely used him, I think, this year.
I don't think they could have really signed him. I think they cost too much money, from memory. I haven't been going in depth on Warriors this year. It's been just get through this season and get to the next season. But
get to the next season. Shall we move on to Philly? Let's start with you. Yeah. What is your overreaction for Philly?
Put me on the spot here.
Yeah, man.
Championship.
Is that an overreaction or the right reaction?
I think it's an overreaction at this stage, but like sometimes, like in your mind's eye, you just picture what a team would do when they win the championship. Like you get flashes of like Joel Embiid giving it the old in front of his own crowd and stuff, and then you kind of think like, are they ready? I don't know if it's really ready to kind of be championship level yet. I still think there's some kinks to work out. It's kind of like the Bucks are in the same situation where I want to see you do this. I want to watch you do this because then we'll know you've got over that hurdle and we'll know how good you are. And then from there, that's how we know your pedigree. Like that's where you grow your championship pedigree from there. But I still am not 100% convinced. But man, they still look fucking scary. Like
they look scary. They drafted really well. Matisse Thybulle was probably the defensive. I think he'd make all defensive rookie team for sure.
Had a mad flop today in the game against
he
Boston.
just flopped like a champion. It was terrible.
That's the actually just quickly. That's the thing you forget about Boston too. Like those two guys, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, are still pretty young. Like they're probably 2 or 3 years away themselves. Really, like they're not. They're not. They don't have that same team that was like right on the cusp of.
Dude, this team lost to Australia. It was the USA Celtics, and they lost to Australia. Let's move on from that.
But what's
That's
your
what
overreaction on Philly?
My overreaction on Philly is they take the championship. My realistic reaction on Philly is they at least make it to the finals. I think that you tighten down the roster. I think that there's been a lot of criticism on Ben Simmons on him not being aggressive enough. He doesn't need to score. He doesn't. You've got Richardson, who's a pure shooter. You've got Harris, who's a pure shooter. You've got Embiid, who's a post guard, and you've got Horford, who's an everything player. In what sense would you ever need a point guard to take over the reins in that team and just be a scoring efficient? You need him to be a defensive behemoth, and he's leading the NBA in steals.
Yeah, man.
He's second in the NBA in deflections. He's second in the NBA in loose ball recovery. Like, take those things away. Is today, Philly can't close a game to save themselves in terms of offense, but no team score on them. It's you look at the fourth quarters of teams, it's like 15-13, 12-8, 20-16. Like they're not big scores. They don't run away, and they can just lock you down defensively, and you have nothing unless it's just a chalky, fluky shot. And yeah, that for my mind, it's Philly Bucks Eastern Conference Finals, and they beat the Bucks, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Bucks will get barreled out in the second round, and they will end up playing the Celtics.
Oof, yeah, man. This Philly team defensively just looks so good. It's got so much all round potential. I'd like to see them. Have they played the Lakers yet?
No,
I'd like
that'll
to
be
see
a
them play
great
the
game.
Lakers as well. That'll be really good
because Anthony Davis always shits the bed against Embiid. Always shits the bed against Embiid.
Yeah,
when he's playing
really good this year.
Yeah, he's been and he was being played really well for the Pelicans. Every time it comes up against Embiid, he just shits the bed. And it's good to. It'll be interesting to see the Simmons LeBron. Like that's going to be There's a couple of games I'm really looking forward to this year. Bucks, Lakers, Clippers, Sixers, Clippers, Lakers. Obviously, that was a good game. And Sixers, Lakers, because I just think that's really where these finals are going. That's where we're going to see. I don't think any other team. Houston's a hilarious team to beat. You want to beat them, and you're happy when you do. But it's a glass house. It's a house of cards. It's all going to come falling down. It will.
They're a weird team though as well. Like on any given night, Houston could just be great or just trash, and Harden could be great or trash, and it's like it's feast or famine. Really, I see it as
the J.R. Smith famine.
Yeah,
J.R. Smith.
So Celtics. Like I said, man, they've got a pretty young team still, and I don't think Gordon Hayward pre-injury was at the level. Like he still had one more level to go up before you went, wow, he's an elite guy in the NBA. You know what I mean? And so he had that leg setback, and now he's got to go back to that level and then go up another level for me to be like, oh, championship caliber stuff here. He's going to be great. Like a guy who propels this team to the finals. And then you look at Tatum and Brown, like those two are probably the best young guys in their age group. But you want to see them take that step up as well. Like they're not guaranteed just you're going to get to the championship and win.
For my mind, Kemba Walker isn't a championship point guard. He's good.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Great. Not a championship point guard. He's just a traditional point guard without the natural scoring ability of a Steph Curry. So I think you want to compare him to Steph Curry because Steph Curry is a fantastic point guard, pretty woeful on the defensive end, but just he's a natural ability to shoot. Whereas Kemba Walker's not like that. He's a good scorer, but every time that Sixers would just switch on to him and there'd be a mismatch and it'd be Embiid in the paint or Harris in the drive or Korkmaz coming off a drive. It was silly. Like he's undersized for I think a championship run. So I do think the Celtics will make the Eastern Conference Finals, and they will play the 76ers. That's my overreaction.
My overreaction is they don't get a home final; they get bundled out in the first round.
Ooh.
Tatum and Brown have like a meltdown, and they go to Hayward, and Hayward just has six of 20 nights, and then they just kind of get bundled out.
Kyrie nights.
Yeah, man, Kyrie. We'll get to Brooklyn, but yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. I think they've got 2 or 3 years more of building really for them to kind of get to the level that they need to be. I think they've got a chance in the next couple of years. Like if you took Philly out of the conference, they'd have a massive chance to finish as a championship contender, even with the Bucks there. But I don't know. I don't see that they've got a level to go to before I can sort of go. They're going to be championship level. Because you're
Philly's
right,
such a young team as well. Yeah,
Kemba's like it's. You watch it and you're like, hey, this really good to watch. Good player, I really love him. Good guy in the locker room by everyone's sort of admissions. But then you watch it and you're just like, there's something not right, man. Like you're looking at it going, something's not right with it. I don't know if I'm just kind of imagining that, or I just get this uneasy, weird feel when I'm watching him play that you just like, this is not elite caliber.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, but that's what this pod's all about, and like weird and wonderful admissions. Wonderful. Yeah, it's Toronto. Toronto. Should we move to Toronto?
Oh, my overreaction is they finish in the bottom half of the top 8 and get bundled out in the first round. I think that they've had their glory. I think that at the beginning of the year they had that championship like mentality, and I think it's just all going to come crashing down because you can't have 2 guards that are 6 foot and do anything in this league. I'm sorry. Can't have like Larry at point and Van Fleet. I mean, both fantastic players, but you're not going to win anything like that. I think the league is going to that mutant point guard. Those are the teams that are doing really well, or just the ambiguity point guard like Patrick Beverley just doesn't really do anything but flops around, hustles, does a lot of things, but doesn't really do much. Maybe he's assists, but scoring's more done through 2 through 4. With predominant ball handlers in that front. So the Raptors, for my mind, Marcus looks a year older and a year slower. Had a big off season, obviously Spain winning the World Cup. And
yeah, that's true. Actually, you're right. Plus, like, I remember he wasn't that great in the playoffs last year, and then just came out of nowhere in that Warriors series to just have a blinder, and he was like, "What? You were terrible for 2 rounds. Like, what the hell? Where'd this come from?" And even Ibaka, man, Ibaka feels like Gasol and Ibaka very like, yeah, we've done it all now, so sweet. Like we're just gonna coast here a little bit,
Yeah.
But I still I like where they're at. I think they're the same with the Celtics. Like a couple of years, if they retool a few little roster spots, 1 or 2 roster spots, they might and then kind of rebirth themselves in 3 or 4 years as another sort of title contender in that East. But again, you're looking at Philly, and Philly's got this run, I think, of the next 4 years, and then the Bucks as well, the next sort of 5 years with Giannis if they re-sign him. I don't think they're not going to re-sign him. Like you would think they're going to re-sign him, but
there's a lot of talk about
the Knicks.
It's like, really? Would you move to the Knicks? So disgusting. All right, who's at 6?
The Indiana Pacers. What do you got?
Yeah, my overreaction is they just stay where they are and get bundled out first round because I just don't think they have the talent. I think they've got some good players having some good year, but let's be real here. They're kind of a middle of the run team. I don't think Oladipo is going to come back with that same flair until next year, and I think next year they can push. But they really need to sign probably a decent power forward. Sabonis has been playing some good center minutes, but they kind of lack that power forward, and they lack one shooter. I think Brogdon's a good point guard, but yeah, I think they lack one decent shooter and one. TJ Warren's been having good games, but hit and miss. And a decent power forward, a stretch 4.
It's funny.
Sabonis still plays that kind of big man down low role a bit. Same as really Miles Turner as well.
It's kind of they have to really, because beyond that you got Dougie McBuckets, TJ Leafs, kind of a young guy sort of pushing through. it's really kind of all they've got. They've got no guards really. Like the Holidays and TJ they're all kind of second string guys. And then if you look at Malcolm Brogdon, he's a guy that's kind of finding an all-round role now. Like he's gone from
Yeah,
being a piece on a team to now he's got to run this whole team. That's going to take time, I think, to sort of bed down. And we've had some patches of up and down from him this season. And then if you look at like last year, they were third in defensive rating, and they were like one of the like I remember watching games against like Warriors against them. They were so handsy in the lane, a real kind of like dangerous team to play against because they were so good defensively. This season, they are currently sitting at 10th in defensive rating, and their pace has gone down as well. Pace has gone down a little bit. So I just wonder how far they can kind of push this season. I see them kind of finishing low seeds and just being bundled out as well, really as well.
yeah. That's my
Maybe
overreaction.
a Philly or Miami.
Yeah, maybe a bit more postseason. I think matchup against Miami works well, but yeah, Philly they'll just get bundled out.
Mm.
Bucks will get bundled out, and the Celtics they'll get bundled out. I think really that's that top four, maybe bar a Jimmy Butler injury to Miami, is pretty well cemented. I think there's going to be too much movement in space, maybe up and down a little bit. I think the Bucks will finish first. I think Philly will finish in the 2 or 3. I think Boston's going to come in 3 or 4, and it's just where Miami or potentially the Raptors in that space. I don't really see anything else changing at this point.
Nets.
Kyrie. If they get rid of Kyrie, I think they make the second round, man. He's terrible. He's a cancer. He's literally a cancer that needs to just have some chemo. Like he just
They can't, but what about Durant, man? If they get rid of him, what if they just did the dirty and just got rid of Kyrie? That'd be so dirty.
He's just. I think Spencer Dinwiddie is a better player. I think he's a better all round player, bigger guard, and a more likable character and a better teammate. And I think people want to play with him. You can tell when Kyrie's on the floor, they don't want to play with him. It's terrible to watch. But it seems like when he's off the floor, they're all in, they're all ready to go. And I mean, this is the third team now. Kyrie is just a moody prick, and no one likes him. And he'll just go from team to team, really not doing anything more because he's got his championship now. So I suppose that'll be his legacy, is that one championship with LeBron in Cleveland. But I don't see this team, even with a healthy Durant back, who I think won't be as good as pre-Durant. No one recovers from an Achilles injury. If you look at the statistics, most NBA players do not return to pre-stats or pre-points, pre-injury points per game, pre-injury assists per game, or pre-injury rebounds per game, and most leave the league within 2 years after that injury.
I still don't think his game was really predicated enough on athleticism. You know what I mean? Like he's got a big skill game.
He's got a big skill game,
so
but
I can see it being mitigated, that like the injury, like the level of effect that injury is going to have on him, can see that being mitigated slightly by the fact that his technical game was at such a high level that it's not like a LeBron or a big man in the post where you have to rely on getting touches down low, using a lot of strength and power. Like LeBron especially, yeah.
I do think his rim defense game will dissipate. I just don't think he'll have the bounce. I think he'll still be a great scorer.
That was kind of super freaky, really. Super freaky. Like, I'm a shooting guard, but also rim protector. Like, just another one of those crazy, like, Draymond style things where it's like, I'm a 4'6'6", but I can defend all 5 positions. Like, so rare and unique that it transcends just normal basketball where you slot this guy into a team. Like, you take that uniqueness away. Like, I still think Kevin Durant is going to come back and just get buckets, and that's probably the perfect scenario for him, is just to play at shooting guard, just get buckets. But the problem is, like, I think Kyrie and him both have the same personality type. Like,
yeah.
And they're always going to be a package deal, really, for this Brooklyn team. They've gone all in so far on this, this Kyrie, Kevin Durant thing. Feels a bit 2 years-ish. 2 years, and then it's going to be like those two just go and we're back to just the Nets again. That's my overreaction.
I don't think they go. I think that they stay in New York because think Durant's moved a lot of his businesses there. Kyrie seems to be happier there. I think they stay there, but maybe they switch allegiances to the Knicks. There's my overreaction.
Interesting. Oh,
Just
who
like
wants to go and play for the Knicks though, man? Just
James Dolan.
all right, move on to the Magic. Orlando Magic, man, quietly just having a very disappointing year after we thought last year's, last year they had a pretty solid end of that season. Like, not the worst. Did they play Philly in the finals? Or just got destroyed? No, that was the Nets
No, that was the Nets. They haven't had Vooch for
for a
10 games. Yeah, for a
That's
while.
a big loss too, because he's kind of like,
Massive. He's an all-star. So you're missing Vooch. I think Markel Fultz is probably in line for MIP. He's had a terrific season and looking much like his college days. I think theory here that he knew he was never going to be anything at Philly. He was always going to live in Simmons' shadow, and he wanted a way out. And he didn't want to seem like he was asking for a trade because I don't think they wanted to trade him. So he just bitched out and complained about his shoulder. That's my theory. It's a pretty plausible theory, really. I mean, you can't. You've got two ball handling predominant point guards. You're always going to live in Simmons' shadow. You're always going to be there playing 3-4 minutes a night, 10 12 minutes a night. He wanted to go to a team where he could run. And I think the Magic was the perfect fit for him, to be completely honest with you. And Philly just quietly got nothing out of that. They got $1 million.
dude, they got sidestepped. Like, they sidestepped around like the ultimate in draft busts, to be honest. Because no one, again, I've said it how many times on this pod, no one's talking about the fact that he was a number 1 draft pick. You know what I mean? Like, no one's going, draft bust, sucked in. Because Philly's like at a point where it's like, oh, wow, Philly's...
I think it was a draft bust for Philly, but I don't think he is essentially a draft bust in himself. But yeah, man, this team for the level of talent on it is pretty disappointing. Like Aaron Gordon, really talented guy, but just never really lifts to any kind of talent. Mo Bamba is kind of,
Actually, Mo Bamba's looking like...
He's still on minutes restrictions.
But he's looking like getting to a level where it's like, all right, I'm seeing some hustle, seeing some real fire from him where he could get to a point where it's like, okay, he's ready to make the next step up. Because last year was just kind of a lost year in terms of where he was at, like a lot of hype out of the draft and then a lot of just, whoa, this guy's not as good as we thought he was out of the draft. Bit of a dysfunctional team type of thing. Did he have a couple of injuries as well?
He did, yeah. He's on minutes restrictions this year. He can't play full games, can't start. So because they're playing Keem Birch, who's a Canadian, and that definitely, if he was healthy, would not be your first pick at center. So that's probably why they're not playing. Evan Fournier has the odd good game, but
Keem Birch, did we see him play for Canada against Australia?
We did, yeah.
I kind of remember him being like a menace, man. In some of those exhibition games.
Not really a scorer in the NBA. Probably a better FIBA player than an NBA player. Just because you can camp in the lane. I don't know. This team kind of just reminds me of a below 500 team that will get bundled out in the first round. So my overreaction is they don't actually make it and Charlotte pips them at the end.
Yeah.
That's my overreaction. They don't make the playoffs and I think Charlotte gets there.
Which leads us nicely on to the Hornets. Quietly just 11-16, having that. That's the thing about the East. I think the East is like it's got a few like really firecracker teams at the top, but then the middle of the pack is very just like it's you can't see any of them like really busting into that bottom half of the top 6, top 8 type of thing.
No, it's kind of got it from 7 to 12. You've got this pack that anyone can make it to the finals to get blown out in the first round. That's really what it is, our goals make it. What's it?
Sorry, I was going to say it's all like muck. It's not like it's not even a good type of like murderer's row of teams where you're like, any of these teams could make. It all just looks like they're all just too muck to even like be able to stretch out. These teams are going to make it. Like, it just looks like I don't think any of these teams should even deserve to make it. They should just send the teams in. If any of these teams make an 8th, 7th, or 8th seed, they should just bow out and send the team on without even playing a game.
Yeah. My overreaction is Charlotte pips the Magic at the post. That's my overreaction.
Yeah, I don't know with Charlotte. I don't know. I still can't see them being that great, to be honest. I'm just looking at their depth chart at the moment. I like Mikhail Bridges or Miles Bridges. One of the Bridges is really explosive. Then you got like Bismack Biombo. Terry Rozier not having the greatest of $50 million seasons. I don't know, man. I can't think of anything for the Hornets. I was looking at the rest of this East, and I'm just going, man, I don't even know what I'm going to overreact on some of these teams. Like, they're all just fucking trash.
Overract. They get nuked and are out of the league.
Yeah, their franchise licenses have been revoked. Let's move on to the Pistons, home of...
This is the most disappointing team in the NBA. The most disappointing team in the NBA. Blake Griffin is terrible, and he's having a terrible season. But you would have thought that after last year, after having a healthy offseason, he'd be ready to play, ready to get going. Nah, just trash. Derrick Rose is having quietly a really nice season. Probably returning to his peak at Minnesota with sporadic injuries in there. Thon Maker's just quietly exited the team's rotation. Probably never to be seen again.
Yeah, didn't he have a game winner, Derrick Rose, the other night?
Yes, he did. It's good.
Thon, oh man, it's so disappointing. It really is, man. Just so disappointing. I don't know what to say because I don't want to be the guy that's like could just be out of the league at the end of the season. But it's really, we're staring down. That's my overreaction, man. He's out of the league. He doesn't get picked up by an NBA team, but surely one of these bad teams is going to pick him up.
Yeah. This is the bad team that was meant to pick him up.
Yeah, I know. It's a worry, eh? It really is a worry. Like, not even like the Cavs, maybe, or the Knicks.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or like the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard, really, to see what we can do or what can be done or what the future holds. But yeah, my overreaction is that Thon Maker gets barreled out of the league and is playing in Europe next year. Don't want to see it happen.
Signs for the Sydney Kings.
Oh God, how many more players do we need on that player roster?
No, but we'll get rid of Bogut and have Thon Maker as the superstar.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I like that.
That'd be awful. Throwing in some NBL overreactions there. There's a nice crossover there. Shout out to On the King's Dime. Chicago Bulls. Ugh, just
it's the Zach LaVine show, man. That game where he hit like 10 threes in a row. He's having a fantastic season.
So many day-to-day injuries. Just looking at their depth chart. Dunn, LaVine, Arcadia Kono, or whatever his name is. Jesus, Chandler Hutchins out. Wendell Carter Jr. is out. Denzel Valentine's also out. Cristiano Felicio, really deep bench, is out. So they've got a lot of injuries, but they're it's like a Harlem Globetrotters type team. It's not a real NBA team, and they just get trotted out from game to game and just go out there and have some fun, boys. Like a pickup game. Just play some ball. Sweet. That doesn't mean anything.
It's kind of hard though because the Bulls have such a great legacy and it's just trash. It really is trash. Like the style of play is trash. It is that very chalky style of Zach LaVine's hot. He scored 50 points. We won. And then 10 games just like, getting chunk. Zach LaVine goes nuts. It's inconsistent. They've got terrible depth. Lauri Markkanen has been underwhelming at best.
So is Thad Young really too. After he had a pretty good season with the Pacers last season. I'm pretty sure it was with the Pacers, but I'd expect more from him. Who is their coach?
They don't like him. I know that. I don't know who it is, but they don't like him.
I remember it was Hoiberg.
I think it's
and that was basically the same thing where they had all these meetings where they got rid of him. Bulls coach on the fly research. Jim Boylan. Yeah.
They don't like him. He's apparently a taskmaster. That's why the injuries are because he works them out between games as well.
But it's kind of like, suck it up, man. That's what I mean about it's like a fake team. It's like a team that just have a run out every night, boys. Like, don't train hard, just have a run out. Like most teams that are well drilled, aren't fighting against the fact that their coaches are trying to drill them hard. You know what I mean? Like, it's player empowerment kind of gone a little bit too far, where all of these superstars get a bit cushy and just like, oh, I want to work out. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, but you need, like, what? You need to. What are you talking about? How are you ever going to win anything if you don't work out?
It's one of those teams that you just see zero direction for. Like, there's no direction for that team whatsoever. There's no, like, 5-year plan. There's no process. There's no plan to, like, pinch superstars that has failed. It literally is just, yeah, we're just going to turn up next year and play some basketball.
Yeah, it does. It feels like Michael Clark Leisure Centre on a Sunday. It really does. Just rock up, have a run around, swap shirts at the end of the game, see how great it is, NBA, shake hands, do some cool handshakes with people, and then go home.
Yeah.
And then they get paid really well for it. Like, not that I'm having a go at these athletes being well paid, but I'm like, it's part of it. They're paid really well, and it's like, yeah, I don't need to try hard. I've made it. Sweet.
Yeah.
I think no leadership in that team. No, like, let's be really good. Like, it's kind of when Wade and Butler were there, and it had something there where it's just like, we got to be something. Now it's like they've got, I wouldn't class Zach LaVine as kind of a leadership type player. Zach LaVine's kind of like trying to rebuild his image in his career and trying to get back on kind of level he was at with the Timberwolves. He was kind of on the rise until he won the dunk contest. No one was ever saying, oh, he's going to be the next superstar, but it was kind of like he had a platform to build his image in his career, but now he's kind of got to rebuild it after some of the... Didn't he have an ACL injury as well?
Yeah.
Pretty bad one. Yeah.
A couple of seasons ago. But look, he's individually played not too bad. They just got no pieces around them that can score. And that's what it is. No center, no big man, no draft picks, nothing. So haven't drafted well as well. Teams that have drafted well, I think, are doing well. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you draft in the top 10. But I mean, there's been some really good picks out of late round drafts that we're seeing kind of emerging now. But that seems to be another issue with this as well, is teams' unwillingness to take late first round and second round picks and develop them in the NBA as opposed to the G League. They're just like, oh yeah, you're going straight to the G League, like. And then it's kind of like, yeah, but then their development's halted because they're not playing like, I just blow this thing up, stay under the salary cap, stay under the luxury tax threshold, try and get some good guys in this tight roster, and then attract a superstar. Kind of like what Miami's done, because really they've had to rebuild after having some pretty terrible cap constraints with Chris Bosh, Wade, some other bad. I think who else they had? They had another bad one as well.
Miami.
Yeah.
Dion. They have Waiters now, but then they have Chippy Tooth. What was his name?
Yeah, Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, that's it.
Cletus.
On 20 mil. But you're right, man. Like, you start to get down to some of these teams and you start to see that they're directionless, and you're like, the league is incentivizing these teams now in ways beyond just to go out there and play hard and win games, basically, to get your image. Like, now, like, these teams don't really need to do that. They're just kind of fake teams that go out there and play 82 games, and who cares what happens? We'll just, make some money and do sort of,
I think the problem is that the league has realized that their ratings are down 30% compared to last year.
Yeah, but all cable TV ratings are down. So it's like nobody's really watching cable TV.
Yeah.
Everyone's watching a lot more streaming, doing a lot of that sort of stuff. I don't know how real that is. I look at that and I'll just go, yeah, but think about how many people are now not being able to pay for cable TV, so they don't watch it, and then not really being able to pay for streaming, so they just go and stream it online. Illegally. What percent? Like, I don't know how much impact that's having. Like, I couldn't sit there and go, it's having a huge impact, but
it has huge impact on their financial bottom line. Put it that way, because that's where their dollars come from, is advertising on TV and on cable and all that kind of stuff. So impacts their bottom line in that percent.
And we're not necessarily in the US, so we don't understand the value and the practicality of cable TV. But I know in this country, like, to have cable TV, like, it's expensive. Like, you got to pay a lot of money just to get now. Obviously, in the last 3 or 4 years with KO, you can get a fairly economical sports package. But I feel like watching KO this year, like, every time I want to watch some games, it's like nothing's really on, and it's a shitty game that's on. Whereas I
Yeah.
felt like in the last few seasons, I could always turn on Foxtel and be like, sweet, watch some basketball and whatever's on. And yeah, sweet, a good game's on. Like this year, it feels like you're turning it on to fucking Sacramento or Oklahoma, and you're like, let's watch this shit. Like, what the fuck? And then you turn it on and you're just like, fucking lawn bowls from Scandinavia. Like, why is ESPN showing this shit? Like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? So I feel like that's happening a bit more this season. But I don't know about the revenue stuff in the US. I think cable TV is going to just die, basically. You know,
It'll
people
die.
aren't going to have cable subscriptions until they transform their business model to include a lot more online stuff.
And a lot more specific content. Like you should. I think the NBA package is pretty expensive just to watch your team, though.
It's pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive. Make that $5 a month, and I think you'll have a few more subscribers, especially from overseas.
And then, like, as we get older, I'm starting to, like, I don't have time really to watch as much as I did last season. And I'm like, I try and put something on and I watch half of it and then I get fucking interrupted by something. I'm doing this and that. I'm going here and there. Try to put it on while I'm doing something and I can't even do that. I'm thinking, who's going to pay $200 a year for a season to watch this that has that kind of time? Like most people that have enough disposable income to do that, I usually work full time. You know what I mean?
Yes, they're not unemployed
Or like
and
uni
sitting.
students, but you know.
Who's going to pay $200 a year? All right, let's move
Let's
on.
run through these last few teams. This is a team actually is very interesting. This Washington Wizards, playing some crazy games, crazy high scoring games.
Look, they've got a. I mean, they picked up Davis Bertans, which I think is probably the steal of the trade. You know, for what they got for him. Isaiah Thomas has been playing well. I think John Wall could potentially come back. I just don't think that they have the team to get them anywhere.
Nah, you're right. Yeah, is Scott Brooks still coaching them? Yeah, he is. I don't think Scott Brooks is a great coach either.
No.
The thing is, they're third in pace, and that's what I think. A lot of their team, like a lot of what they're doing, fourth in offensive rating. That's not too bad. A lot of what they're doing is predicated on they're just crazy fast, and some teams come in and are like, I can't handle the quickness because we don't play this quick. And some teams are like, oh yeah, like we like this quickness and duke it out with them, have these big high scoring games. So the games they're winning are kind of against teams where you're like, oh, the other team couldn't handle the pace and that's why they lost basically. And then some of these other games where these crazy duke outs, it's like a coin toss basically.
Yeah. It's like, that Houston was a good game. Look, I think they've got potentially one of the best draft picks of the season.
Yeah.
Rui Hachimura picked that one up pretty quickly. He's a pretty phenomenal player, just a pure scorer. They don't really have the depth at center, I think, that they need to make anything of it. I think they'll win a few more games. I think my overreaction is that John Wall comes back and they make the playoffs.
Yeah, that
next
was going to
year.
be mine too. No, this year, I'm calling this year. They just sneak into that 8th spot.
Ooh, God, that's
they go on a crazy like 6-7 game run that just catapults them into that, and then from there they just take that momentum, make the playoffs in the 8th seed, and then just get bundled out. But having a look like at their game record, man, a 158, 159 against Houston, 133, 140 against the Celtics, 138, 132 against the Spurs. I think they lost that one. No, they won that one. 140, 132 against Phoenix, like 150, 125 against the Clippers. Like these crazy games, man. Like how long has it been since you've seen some crazy games like this happening?
In terms of those numbers, no, everyone seems to be trying to slow the pace down and focus on defense this year. It's very much become that defense is the new offense. And a lot of the coaches are turning to that. But yeah, they're an interesting team to watch, but
yeah, you're not on that train. You're not on the sneaky playoff hopes train.
Not on that train.
They're only three losses behind Orlando. So
okay. Could sneak it.
What do you reckon about the Atlanta Hawks?
This is my most disappointing team. I thought that they had the potential to make the top 8. I thought they would. They were an 8 seed for sure. And they've just turned out to be complete and utter rubbish.
I think they're still 3 or 4 years away. It's way too early. And this is just the perfect scenario for Trae Young to basically just be like, just shoot ridiculous shots. And you kind of got to just go, okay, I guess. Shoot some ridiculous shots then. Because it's similar to the Chicago conundrum where it's not really a team yet. You know what I mean?
But last season they got to 30 wins, and I thought, oh, they might be able to improve on that. They drafted Cam Reddish. Kevin Huerter's got another season. Got picked up Jabari Parker. I thought maybe they had another season of a little bit of growth, but I think that growth just dissolved into nothing. So yeah, my overreaction is that they finished third last.
It's another high draft pick coming.
Yep.
And then if you look at this roster here, look at their experience, right? 4 rookies, 3 on 1 year, 2 on 2 years, 2 on 3 years.
Vince Carter,
and
22 years.
And then 21 years for Vince Carter. But if you look at these guys who are, right, 5 years, 6 years, 6 years, 8 years, 9 years, that's fucking all NBA just forgotten trash. Jabari Parker, Alan Crabb, Alex Len, Chandler Parsons, Evan Turner. Like, what are you meant to do with that?
Yeah.
Like, your experienced guy, 9 years experience, your leader guy is Evan Turner, like one of the most overpaid busts in the league. Like, that's a fucking 5-man, like, Harlem trash trotters fucking lineup, man. It really is, man.
Oh,
And then look at the rest of these guys are all like 3 years, 1 to 3 years. They're still 5 years away, man.
Yeah.
And I think you're seeing something explosive in Trae Young, and it's clouding your judgment to just be like, oh, maybe there's something. Maybe they are something. Like Trae Young, like, is doing something crazy here, but I still think like it's 3 or 4 years away before he puts away the bad shots. Like, he can run a pretty decent point. Defensively, he's pretty trash, but like, he can pass the ball and run some pretty decent point. They've just got to put some better guys around him, some better leadership guys. If they can flip, you know, Parker, Crabb, Len, Parsons, Turner into some really, really sort of good 3rd year, 4th year guys and grow that for the next couple of years, man. I think they're going to be decent.
Hopefully in a couple of years.
This season, what do we reckon? Anything for this season?
No, I think they stay right where they are. But look, they'll be better than our next guests. The New York Knicks, or is
the Cleveland Cavs? But you're right.
Cavs.
The Cavs.
Because they beat they beat the Spurs today.
Oh,
fuck,
man.
if I know how that happened.
It's crazy.
The Spurs are just trash. Absolute garbage. This team is probably one of the worst teams to watch in the league. I think they're worse than the Knicks.
And it's not that they're bad. It's they're bad to watch too, man.
Yeah,
they really are. Anyway,
it's
you were saying.
It's just horrible ISO ball from Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, and then Dellavedova gets on the floor. My reaction is Dellavedova doesn't get a contract next year.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout, man. I don't know if he's like.
Do they give him vet minimum? Because literally everyone is on the table, the chopping block for trade. So if they trade Kevin Love, they trade Tristan Thompson, they trade Chetty, like, they're going to need a couple of people there to play the basketball. Maybe Dellavedova picks up, a vet min because he's a savvy vet that can potentially just play some minutes. Does he pick up another vet min contract? I don't know.
But I still don't know what they're doing with this roster, man.
They have no idea what they're doing with this roster.
It's like needs prune town on it, man. Like, Kevin Love's your most experienced player, 11 years. And then that's basically the guy that you're shopping around as a big piece to try and lure someone to this team. And, Delhi at 6 years, Clarkson at 5, Nance. All of these guys are sub 5 years. A lot of rookies there too. I don't know, man. I wouldn't even pick up Delhi. Like, I'd try and shop Delhi around to the league. He's a free agent, but isn't he?
Yeah,
I think
free
he's an
agent.
unrestricted free agent. So I don't know which team would even pick him up. Might be welcome to the Adelaide 36ers, Matthew Dellavedova, next season.
Could be.
And now we can go to the Knicks. And
hilarity.
Have a good night, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Yes. See you next time.
Yeah. Oh, man, I don't even know what he's going. Like, it's just...
As a famous person says, you can't win a championship with 5 power forwards starting a night.
maybe you can, but they got to be like absolute
Literally,
quality.
look, they literally have five power forwards playing
Yeah,
at the same time.
Taj Gibson at center, Taj Gibson, Randall Morris, Damian Dutson, Frankie Smokes, Frankie Nicotine.
They're all power forwards. They're literally all power forwards. Probably Frank Ntilikina or whatever his name
Yeah.
is the only one who plays maybe a one or two. But there's literally four power forwards playing.
And then you look at like Kevin Knox, Peyton, fucking RJ Barrett. I like RJ Barrett, but it's just like
He's just another 20 point a night guy that'll just fade into oblivion. He doesn't scream superstar for me.
is it kind of like he's a bit Wigginsy?
He's a bit Wiggins. He's like a poor man's Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
Just kind of plays in the mid range a bit, can do the floater, maybe hits one or two threes a game. Maybe he gets better, but it's early days. But yeah, this Knicks team's going nowhere in a hurry. They just overpaid everyone for like 2-year contracts, and now it's just nowhere.
It's just I don't know what I don't know what it needs, man. New owners, new ownership, just maybe like a new name. You know what I mean? New like it needs something. It just needs blowing up because I don't think like what's happening with it at the moment. I don't know if that's like I don't see a way out of this.
When was the last time they made the Eastern Conference Finals?
Let's see. I'm looking at the Knicks franchise index. God bless Basketball Reference. Did you say conference finals?
Yeah.
So they 99 they lost in the conference final back in like Patrick Ewing days back then, man.
Jesus.
Conference first round in 2003, a couple of first rounds Melo era, and then a semis Melo era. But if you look at going all the way back to the finals, that was like in the heyday, like Barkley and Ewing, and they just could never get over the hump. It's gotta be nuked. It has to be.
Yeah.
Because it's a mess. Like it's a purpose built bad team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not even they had some cap constraints. They had to just be in it. Like it's like they just paid a bunch of people and then they were all shit. It's like what?
It's embarrassing to watch sometimes. It really is.
Mm.
It's embarrassing to put that kind of professional sport on TV in America in such like a profitable franchise such as the Knicks.
I think they're the largest market, aren't they, in the entire league? The most valuable franchise as well. But
Yeah, pretty much.
all right, that'll do. I think
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
We
We'll wrap it up here.
Some good overreactions. I think the East, man, is sneaky good this year.
I think they just went west, but I think the East actually might be superior to the West this year. I think so, but it'll be interesting to see those four teams duke it out during the year. We haven't seen the Bucks and the 76ers yet. That'll be a fantastic game to watch. Four of them.
The Bucks and the Lakers too will be really good.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll wrap this one here. Are we going to do another one after this? We'll just go through some Aussie games.
Sure,
So,
why not?
we'll draw this one to a close, and then we'll be back very soon. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Aussies taking over the NBA. Anything else to plug? No, that's it.
That's it, mate. We'll be back very soon.
All right, take it easy, peeps.
See ya. Right, I'm gonna get this dog in.